Some content may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
And then open fire.
Hey Silky, it's Chris Nagamoto again with Channel 2. Listen, I just wanted to get the numerical for your house number. Get someone over there to shoot it. Can you call when you get this message?
And don't be ignoring my damn text messages. Bye.
Louisiana State Penitentiary 5. Administration to accept. Dial or say 5 and hold. To refuse, dial 0 and hang up. To block inmate calls, dial or say 7.
What's up, Slim? This is Bro. Checking on you. So you ain't lost your mind and get around that bitch there. Slim, listen here, man. Get my call when you get my message.
I said, Sister Ann, I was calling for your mama. She was just checking to see where you are. We'd love to give your mama a call.
So many people are talking about the mass incarceration, but the mass incarceration is actually a continuation of slavery, and it's in the 13th Amendment. So when you see it in the amendment, then you can't really put up a valid argument about a contract that's already in place. Being in the hood with choppers like this, and being in the condition that we fall into, do we ever take time and think? We have had a war on drugs, we've had a war on education, but we haven't had a war on poverty, and until we take that step to eliminate the poor conditions that these individuals are living in, we're going to continue to see violence. Self-preservation has always been the #1 rule in life, so these individuals are definitely trying to provide for their families. They're trying to make a living for themselves, and this is the only means that's being presented to them inside of the areas that they're in. The biggest thing that's going on now is that we actually have a group of parents that hasn't been taught, so it's impossible for them to teach the kids other than what they know. So you need programs that focuses on relationships with parents and kids so that both individuals can be learning at the exact same time that the way that they have been brought up is definitely not the correct way to be living in society. And until we take that step, we're going to continue to see the violence because the kids are not getting what they need from the parent. The parent is giving them the exact same thing that they're getting from video, radio, and television. It's the same old ignorance is what it actually is, and it's being fed to the kids by the parents and then by the entertainers and the individuals that they actually look up to as well. Cut any tree off from its roots, and that tree will surely die. Cut any people off from their roots, and they will surely die. What you have just witnessed were acts of savagery. But we must first ask ourselves, what is a savage? A savage is one who has lost or was never given a true knowledge of self and is living a beast life lifestyle. If we are the civilized, then we should ask ourselves, what is the duty of the civilized? The civilized duty should be, and it is, to civilize the uncivilized. The names, the faces, the places, they may change, but the crime remains the same. A 6-month-old daughter is in the backseat with her father. They shoot the father, hear the crying baby, and silence her as well. Murder is the order of the day in any city of America today by the way that we are living. The victims, most of them young black African-American males, ages 13 to 27, leave behind grieving mothers and fathers while we sit back and play world, world, world. When I look at this, I often say, how can they have a people that are dying and not many people care about? I have a friend that often tells me, he says, Silky, look, man, hey, check this out. There's only one race at the end of the day. He says, that's the human race. Boy, how I wish
what he was saying was really true, because if we all looked at each other as just being a family in a human race, then maybe we would care about each other's well-being. When I look at this, I tell people all the time, I say this shouldn't be so hard to figure out, because there's a dying people that some people don't seem to really care about. There are individuals that are dying in the streets daily while we sit back at home and we watch the soap operas and go on with our lives. These kids deserve to live. I often look at my mission as the cutting of an apple. I found it very interesting every time I cut an apple in half. I would cut the apple in half, I would find 4 seeds. I cut another apple in half, I would find sometimes 5 seeds. My point is that you could count the seeds that's in the apple, but you'll never count the apples that come from those seeds if you plant them properly. When I look at the youth, when I walk into a room, I never walk in expecting to save everyone that's in the room. I only go for that one person that really wants to make a change. I treat it like a firefighter that goes into a forest and the forest is already on fire. He understands that this part may be destroyed, but there's still a part of God's given beautiful creation that can be saved. The same way with these people. There's some will be destroyed, but there are still some that we can save if we do what we should do. Come together in unity. There's a community right outside the gates of LSU. I grew up there. By the age of 12, my life was already down. I started committing crimes. I ended up in prison. By the age of 14, I was in the Louisiana Department of Corrections, where there was very little correcting going on. It was more survival, because even though I was a young man, if I didn't take a stand, I would have been somebody's woman. So I had to survive the way that I did, because my mother was in prison, my father was in prison, my grandmother, she's 74 years old. Back then, we said that she was senile. I think the proper terminology today is Alzheimer's. So I couldn't let the state know that my grandmother couldn't take care of us, so I turned to the life that I seen could keep me and my brother inside of the home, which was a life of crime. But some kind of way there was a God that saved me for this divine mission. And that God pulled me out of the streets and gave me a mission to save these individuals. We have a job to do. And unless we come together and unite and work to change these communities, then you'll continue to be in the living hell that you're in now. I came out talking. I say, hey man, there's a dog back there, he's biting. You know what you said? No, Silky, feed him and pet him. But when he gets in your yard, you want me to come get him. When we see murders in Burgard Town and other places, we call those high-profile murders. There are no high-profile murders. Every murder should be treated the same, because it's a life that God blessed someone with. We should look at this and say, man, this is a shame the way that these people are dying in the streets. When I was asked to come speak at TED Talk, I said, what do I have to offer? I say the things that I talk about are the things that we sweep up under the rug and don't want to talk about. The things that I have to talk about, my passion, my love for these individuals that I'm trying to save, some people don't care about. So why go to TED Talks? And it came to me, there's a humanitarian somewhere out there that want to see a change. An old man told me something. He said, look, Silky, you'll never get ahead staying in bed. You have to wake up early in the morning, wake like a slave, and have the mind of a master. He said, once the sun rises, you'll never stop the rooster from crowing. The sun has rose. The rooster is crowing. And he said, once you hear the rooster crow, get up, get out, and do something. So now you're hearing the rooster crow. And my only desire is, believe me, is for you to get up, get out, and do something.